There's a feeling most people never say out loud. Not because it's shameful, because it's hard to name. It's the sense that your life is happening just slightly ahead of you. That everyone around you received some instruction manual you never got. That no matter what you build, what you achieve, what you survive, you're still somehow late. Not to a meeting. Not to a deadline. To yourself. And the strange part? Nobody handed you a clock. Nobody sat you down and said, "You're behind." It just arrived one day, quietly, and it never left. Psychologists call part of this contingent self-worth, tying your internal value entirely to external markers, achievements, milestones, other people's timelines. But the name matters less than the feeling. The feeling that you are perpetually catching up to a version of yourself that keeps moving further away. Most people who carry this didn't choose it. They were taught it. Sometimes it happened in a home where love arrived with performance. A good grade, warmth. A failure, distance. The child in that house learned something that feels like truth, progress equals worth. It wasn't a distortion. It was an accurate reading of the room. The tragedy is that the lesson outlives the classroom. You carry it into your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, this invisible measuring tape held quietly against yourself in the dark. Sometimes it came from subtler places. A culture that treated busyness as virtue. A peer group that always seemed to know what they were doing before you did. A parent who never said you were behind, but made you feel the urgency of not falling short. The message didn't need words, it just needed to be present. In adulthood, this pattern becomes extraordinarily precise. You reach something you worked hard for, celebrate it for maybe 2 days before the baseline silently resets, and you're behind again. You watch someone you genuinely love succeed, feel real joy for them, and then, almost in the same breath, a quiet deflation. As if their milestone recalibrates what you should have by now. You work hard. Sometimes obsessively, but the work doesn't produce peace. Only the temporary relief of motion. Here's where most conversations about this go wrong. They call it a mindset problem. They hand you a gratitude journal. They recommend a comparison detox. But this didn't develop from laziness or ingratitude. It developed from hypervigilance. From a nervous system that learned, very early, to survive by tracking gaps. Between expectation and reality. Between others and yourself. That's not weakness. That is a highly calibrated alert system that simply never received the signal that the emergency was over. Carol Riff's research on psychological well-being found something worth sitting with. The people who suffer most aren't those who want too much. They're those who've lost contact with their own internal sense of growth and replaced it entirely with external measurement. The timeline isn't broken. The compass isn't wrong. It's just pointed at someone else's north. And here's what is quietly, undeniably true about you. You have not been wasting time. You have been living under a low-grade alert that consumes energy most people never see. And the fact that you're still here, still building, still caring, still trying to understand yourself, that is not evidence of failure. That is evidence of extraordinary endurance. The shift forward isn't louder motivation. It isn't a better morning routine. It's smaller than that. More honest than that. It's learning to stop asking, how far behind am I, and starting to ask, what is actually mine to want? Not their timeline. Not the one your childhood quietly handed you. Yours. You come back to that window. The one you've spent years standing at, watching your own life from a distance. And slowly, not all at once, just slowly, you realize the glass was never locked. You just forgot somewhere along the way that you were allowed to open it. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are someone who learned very early to measure their worth against a clock that was never theirs. And the quiet, difficult, courageous work is learning to put it down, not all at once. Just a little. Today, that's enough. That has always been enough. If this reached something you've been carrying for a long time but couldn't quite name, subscribe. This channel exists for the ones who feel deeply, think carefully, and are still quietly, persistently trying to understand themselves. You deserve more than generic advice. And that's what we're here to build. Together.